A pivotal day also in the Aaron Hernandez murder trial. The former NFL player's future could very well hinge on today's testimony by his fiancee, Shayanna Jenkins, or we should say former fiancee.
Former fiancee, for sure. Jenkins testified that she asked Hernandez point blank whether he was involved in Odin Lloyd's murder. Take a listen.
I believe it's when Aaron got home from the police station, when I had found out that Odin was murdered. I asked him if he did it. He said no, and that was the extent of our conversation.
Joining us now is Michelle Sigona from D.C. Michelle, tell us about Jenkins' role here. Why was she called in to testify?
She was called in to testify because earlier on, when this first started, she did testify in front of a grand jury, and it's been said that she may have actually allegedly lied a number of times during that testimony. So what happened here is that she was granted immunity to be able to come forward, to be able to tell the truth about what she knew, and she has to answer those questions truthfully, or she could be put behind bars. Having said that, we don't know, because she was charged with perjury, if that charge has been dropped or where exactly that stands in exchange for the immunity. But taking the stand is definitely a big move in this case, because this is the person who lived with Aaron Hernandez. This is the person who knew, if not all of his moves, most of his moves. And so she had talked about inside the courtroom about seeing a gun inside of the house, inside a junk drawer. Now, I do want to mention that the gun and the Odin Lloyd murder has not been found yet. It's believed to possibly be, a weapon that may have been thrown away at some point. Prosecutors allege that, Jenkins may have possibly have been that person to have done that, to put it inside of a trash bag and take it out. But there's a lot definitely unfolding today in the courtroom.
And Jenkins has frequently said that she didn't remember a lot of the specific details. So
That's
just
right.
saying she saw a gun, does this actually help the defense?
It's really kind of up in the air at this point, because she said that, if I'm not mistaken, a gun was shown to her, one that the prosecutors believe may have possibly been used in Lloyd's murder. And she said that the color looked the same, but she could not say if it was the same size or not. So
actually, Michelle, let's play that sound. We have a sound
of
Jenkins, talking about finding the gun in her kitchen. Let's take a listen.
Tell us the circumstances of seeing a firearm in your home.
I found it in my junk drawer.
At some later point, did you see whether this black firearm was still in that junk drawer?
At a later point?
Yes.
You're asking if I checked if there was?
Yeah, like the next occasion, or do you remember the next occasion you would have gone back to the junk drawer?
I don't, but when I did go back to the junk drawer, it wasn't there.
So, Michelle, I guess the question is, do prosecutors think that that gun is the murder weapon?
It's really kind of unclear at this point whether I do know that she was only allowed to be asked about that particular gun. If there were other weapons inside of the house, that was not allowed to be brought into the courtroom. So it's really kind of unclear how many weapons were inside of the house, at the time of this murder, and prior to, just exactly how many guns, he had and how many she actually saw. This is, again, just the one. And what Jenkins said was that when she found this particular weapon inside the house, she gave Hernandez a stern look, as if, what the heck is this doing here? And then what she said after that was, after that point, she never saw it again inside the junk drawer or inside of the home.
And we should note that the victim in this case, Odin Lloyd, was actually the boyfriend of her sister, correct?
That's right. That is correct. And that's been another point, important point inside of this particular trial, is because one sister usually sits on one side of the courtroom, the other is on the other. Now, Jenkins herself really hasn't been in court since earlier on in March. So this is really her first time back in the courtroom in a few weeks.
Interesting. Thank you so much for following on that for us. Michelle Sigona from Washington, D.C. And to follow updates on this investigation and others, and to keep up with true crime in general, head to cbsnews.com/crimesider.